Hey everybody, and welcome to Jack's Treasures here on YouTube, where we discuss different topics, different questions that people may have asked us or that we ask other people regarding reselling.
By the way, my name is Brian.
My name's Tracy.
And Jack is our cat that's right there. We lost Jack last year on Mother's Day. A lot of people might know that. But today is a question that literally I think a lot of family members have asked us. And that is, why are you reselling?
Yes.
So,
why?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I may have mentioned this on one of these shows before. I have actually been reselling since 1998 on eBay when I was 18 years old. And I initially started reselling because Beanie Babies were hot. They sold for way more than they sold for in the stores. I worked at a mall. I was able to pick them up for $5 and I could flip them for $15, and it was easy money.
And for me, I was a teacher. And one of the reasons why I started to resell is because of a divorce. I needed to make some income. My ex was a nurse, so she made considerably more money than I did as a teacher, because I was a fairly new teacher. And so when the divorce happened, I lost, a good portion of family income. I had my two children. And so it was a natural thing for me to roll into, I need to make some extra cash. So we started grabbing things around the house, which was funny because this was exactly what I had heard today when we watched the podcast of Unemployed for a Living. Shout out to Ken and Corey from Grams and Pots Vintage and SSK Promo. They were talking about live reselling and how you could get started just by picking up stuff around your house. That's how I got started in reselling, was just picking up things that I had around my house that I had to resell because I needed money. We were just talking about it yesterday on one of the I was on a live selling platform, and the person was selling comic book cards, and I was saying how I got started doing comic books in the 1970s and 80s, and he said, "Do you still have them?" And I said, "I wish I did, but I lost them due to the divorce."
But yes, as I said, I started doing Beanie Babies just for pocket money. I mean, at that time, I didn't have any real responsibilities. It was just an easy way to make some extra money. I could buy the things I like. As it went on, I wound up having a child in my early 20s. I didn't have the most supportive spouse in the world as far as monetarily. And
it wasn't me.
No.
It wasn't me. Not at this time. Wow, we moved up at the same time.
She was also, she had some special needs when she was young. She required my one-on-one attention. So me having a job wasn't working.
Right.
But I was able to resell. At that time, I was purchasing online and flipping the stuff back online. I would buy lots of video games. I'd buy lots of role-playing books, things like that. Split them up, resell them on eBay, and that is how I supported myself and my child during her early years.
A lot of people might become resellers because they have a job loss. They're working in, let's say, a family business, and the family decides that they're going to sell the business, or they just don't want to do the business anymore. So there's an instant job loss, and then people are out of money. So they figure out, well, where can I make some quick money on a side hustle? And reselling is definitely a way that you could do that. Just a case in point is you look at the growth of eBay. When it started in 1995, 1998, somewhere around in there, eBay, you had to literally mail money orders. And there was no live selling, which eBay does have live selling, by the way. It's really hard to find, but they do have it.
It's very hard to become a member of as a seller.
Yeah, you have to have a large YouTube community and be an influencer, of which we are not. We did apply. We did apply.
Maybe
we just
one
haven't
day
heard
we may
anything back.
Get a call on that.
Yeah, and but the growth of eBay happened because of people wanting to make some extra cash. And so people were saying, well, instead of having a yard sale, let's put this stuff up on this new platform of electronic selling, or an electronic marketplace of eBay. And people, from the ground up, they were just making buku amounts of money. Think about when the pandemic hit in 2020. Okay, people were not allowed to go out to work. People were not allowed to, go to stores
what do they call
to buy
it? Like
anything.
Furloughed. They were not working. They weren't necessarily bringing in the same income they were used to. So they're like, how can I make a little extra money? Hey, let's sell these video games that have been sitting in my basement for 5 years.
Yeah, couldn't have yard sales. Okay, no. Because you weren't allowed to. In a lot of states, you weren't allowed to have yard sales. So people said, well, we had to sell them somewhere. And there was a tremendous amount of resellers that had started up during that period of time, 1990, 2000 and
2020, 2021.
Yeah, 2019. Right around in that area, there was a huge influx.
I will say, as
people,
someone who
which was
has
great,
been doing this over 25 years, there were two heydays for me. It was very early on. You could sell
Here comes the smack, guys. It's coming.
You could sell practically anything during those early days because people were so enamored with the idea of, oh my gosh, I can go online and I can buy this used shirt, And so that was definitely a peak period for selling. And then, it kept going, it was fine. It was chugging along. And then the pandemic hit. And all of a sudden, once again, things that weren't selling very quickly before, all of a sudden were doing amazing. We had just purchased a estate liquidation right before the pandemic that happened to be full of books, DVDs, puzzles, lots of media stuff, Disney stuff, manga, and
Star Wars.
All of a sudden, that stuff was super hot, and we sold that stuff at a rate that we could not replicate now.
Yeah. And if you think about people in general, people accumulate things, okay? And then when they accumulate a certain amount of things, they have to decide, what do I want to do with this and what do I want to do with that? I bought this stereo in 1990, brand new, and I paid $800 for it. It's a beautiful stereo, works great, but it's really, really big and it takes up a lot of space, and we're getting ready to have children. What do I do with it? Well, you could donate it to Goodwill, which a lot of people do, or you could put it up on a marketplace and become a reseller. And then all of a sudden you resell something and wow, this is helping me to clear space out, plus make some extra money. We learned just last week when we did our podcast of not another reselling podcast, when we were talking to Ray, that Ray loved to collect sneakers and shoes, and he collected so many of them, but then a need came up for him to get a car, and he became a reseller and sold shoes in order to pay for a car, and did buy the car. And if I'm not mistaken, his wife is still driving that said car. I mean, that's an amazing thing right there. So why did he become a reseller? Well, it was twofold. He created space with selling the shoes, and two, needed a car. So he became a reseller in order to pay for a car. Paul the Philly Flipper. He's been a reseller for many, 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 many years, and is a YouTube influencer also. But he's also owned other businesses. If I'm not mistaken, he owned a moving business. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he also owned a landscaping business too. But doing the reselling, he was able to, he had a flood, okay? Hurricane Helene came through. He lives down in South Florida, and he needed to replace his car. Well, he pumped up his business and used total reselling in order to purchase a new car. He emptied out his savings account, bought a car, rebuilt his savings account inside of a month.
Let's talk about another reason you might want to resell. Fast forward to this stage of our life, Brian's retired. Brian gets an income every month from his retirement. He also gets some income from being part military. And we have very few household expenses. Our bills are very low. Do we need to resell? Probably not. We could put food on the table. We could get by day to day. But we love to travel. We like to go out to dinners. We like having cats. We like playing new video games. We like to do these extras. And by reselling, we are able to do that and not necessarily live in that fixed income.
Right.
That I think they talk about a lot of times. Senior citizens are on a fixed income. Reselling allows us to have that freedom to live the life that we want to live.
Can I do just another small shout out? I got to shout out to Corey, because Corey came up with this saying, and I don't know if he came up with the saying, but he literally said it to us when we were in Omaha, and that is buying your time back. Okay, I'm 60 years old. I get my retirement now from 18 years in the classroom as a teacher, and the reselling for the past about 18 years, as a matter of fact, I have been a reseller. And so we're now buying our time back by doing our reselling, but then going to travel. We were on the road for a full week. We went to Omaha. We went to Indiana. We saw Dan and Demand. We went to Louisville.
Josiah.
Yeah, Lauren and Josiah, the best host that you could possibly know. Chris, the bearded thrifter, you know, just and then everybody that we met, which it's so hard for me to mention everybody that we met when we were in Omaha. But we went to Kentucky. Never been to Kentucky. Well, we've never been to that side of Kentucky. We've never been to Louisville. We went to Indiana. We went to Illinois. We went to Iowa. Saw the birthplace of John Wayne, which is
You love that.
I love John Wayne. He is was my favorite actor of all time. Still is. We went to Nebraska. We went to Missouri. We went to Illinois. We went to, back into Kentucky and into Tennessee and Georgia. We did all of those inside of a week and paid for all of the hotels, and everything was paid for before we left.
Yep.
So that was reselling, was able us to do that and free up all of our time. Now, I'm not sitting here gloating and saying anything like that, but that's a reason to resell, to buy back your time.
I've gone through my entire adult life through different stages, from the stage when I just wanted some extra money to, buy some nice makeup and clothes for myself, to needing to support my child, to helping support our household when he was working, and
I worked full time.
We had a large house. I
was a reseller part time.
And then now on to this stage of our life that we're reselling. I
stopped him that time. He's trying to do it again.
For those extras and to live the life that we want to live. So
a lot of people have different reasons why they become resellers. They like to do picking. Our friend Tom and Jana. Shout out to Damn Fine Stuff. Jana loves reselling. She loves going out and finding treasure. She's got a great eye for it. She has a booth now. Actually, I think she's got about 14 booths is my last count. Believe me, I've done that too. And she loves going in there, setting these things up and making some money and doing all of these different things. She still does work full time. And my friend Tom, when we were talking the last time, was like, I just want her to, pull the trigger on saying we're going to do full time on the reselling. I work from home, so I could take care of everything. The way that my job is set up, I could cover all of these different expenses. And I know that they're trying to move into that direction of becoming a reseller, mainly just because they're sick of working. A lot of people are tired of working for other people. Okay. Yep. Your jobs change. I did that. All right. I was a teacher.
Sorry.
And when I first started teaching, I loved teaching and I had a blast with it, but everything changed, and going to different principals, going to different school systems, everything changing like that, it just got to a point where it was miserable every day. And Tracy could tell you I was not a happy person.
And I told him at that point, I'm like, we just got to make reselling work full time.
Yeah.
And at that point, we did have more significant household expenses. We had a large house with a hefty mortgage. We had multiple vehicles. We had all of the expenses that
everybody would have. The classic credit card debt.
Yeah.
We never really had any automobile debt. But we did have to maintain all of these automobiles and have the insurance on all of these automobiles and, maintaining the house and all of those different things. But yet we did take that plunge and said, we got to do this because my health was deteriorating.
Yep.
And, you have to do things. That's another reason why people might, because of their health reasons. They're not able to work. And, getting that Social Security disability or whatever it may be might not be enough. Okay, they have more children than we have. We have one daughter that really lived with us that whole time. My son lived with us for a little while, but so some people will become resellers for that. The thing about reselling is it's a very good way for you to make some extra cash and or to make cash to survive on.
Yep.
But it's the same with every single thing that you do. It's a consistency basis. Are you consistency
You get back
listing?
what you put into it.
Exactly.
If you want to put in 2 hours a week and just make enough to, go out to dinner, like with your family on Saturday nights, you can do that. If you want to make it your full-time income, you can do that.
Or to pay for, like, say, a phone bill, your cell phone bill. You can do that. Or like us, we're paying for not only, we're paying for these trips.
Yeah.
Okay. And literally, Tracy and I just literally talked about it yesterday that we're planning a trip down to Florida and we're planning a trip to Ohio.
Yep.
Okay. In the next 3 months, 3 to 4 months.
And that's on top of the trip to Nashville we already have scheduled.
We're going to the meetup. And plus, in 5 years, we're doing our dream trip, which is a train going across Canada over a month. We'll be on the train, stopping and staying in hotels for about 3 or 4 days in each one of these cities and just experiencing all of that. That's our lifetime goal trip. And we're using reselling in order to do that.
Yep.
Okay. So tell us some of the reasons why you became a reseller.
What's your why?
Yeah. And by the way, on our podcast, Not Another Reselling Podcast, we generally have guests on there. And one of the questions that I always will start off with is, how did you become a reseller? To me, that is the best content when I watch other people's content, is the stories of how they became resellers. Some of them are tragic. Yeah. My wife passed away, my husband passed away. I got all of these things. He was a collector. We got a divorce. It was a divorce, and we have to get rid of all of these different things. So some of them are very tragic stories, but some of them are very good stories. Company changed ownership. I got shit on. It's one of them. But tell us your stories in the comments down below. Give us a thumbs up. These are just our opinions again. So give us that thumbs up. Give us that dreaded thumbs down. Hit that subscribe button and that notification button, and we will be notified every time we launch one of these. Send some love to Jesse. Make sure that you pet a cat. And as always, help us out with Stop Soldier Suicide. It is a charity down there below that we are working with, even though they do not know that we are working with them. I am planning on reaching out to them sometimes and saying, hey, we want to help out. Is there anything more that we can do?
Yeah. Do you have a little badge you want us to put on our page or anything like
right.
that?
Something like that. Even if it's something that we can put a little thumbnail somewhere, of helping to stop soldier suicide. 20 to 22 soldiers commit suicide per day in the United States, and that's just an atrociously high number. So, thank you for watching.
We'll see you around.
And pet a cat.
Meow.